Netflix and Warner Brothers, less art, more algorithm. That's right, guys. They're looking closely at possibly putting a bid in for Warner Brothers in some form or fashion. Well, that's kind of what the Snyder Bros are saying, right? Look, this is what's going on. Netflix, according to reports from routers, whatever you call it, in Variety, Netflix has officially tapped Moelis and Company to explore a potential bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. What they do is they're a company who helps takeovers and acquisitions. They're the same company that helped Paramount or Skydance take over Paramount. They're taking a look. They're being serious about it. Now, I get that the head of Netflix just about a week ago was like, nah, we're not interested. Yeah, they're not interested in Warner Brothers Discovery as a whole. They're not interested in the legacy media. They don't want the news stations. They don't want TBS, TNT, so on and so forth. They don't want that. They possibly want Warner Brothers Pictures and the studios and HBO Max and their IPs. That's most likely what they're looking for. Is that really what should happen? Because you know me. I've been very upfront about this for months at this point. I do not want to see Warner Brothers Discovery sold or taken over by anybody at all. I want them to stay their own company. I want them to continue forward. Look, I know that they want to do the split next year, and I would love for them to do their split and just continue forward by themselves. But I know it's not going to happen. I get that. But personally, to me, I think that is what's best for the industry, for Hollywood, for film, for creativity, for filmmakers, for TV showrunners, for writers, for producers, for everything. That's what's best. That's what's best. But there's some people out there who think, no, Netflix is the best move. There's no denying that Netflix has large pockets. They do. They have large pockets. But they didn't get there by making stupid acquisitions for pieces of companies that have nothing to do with them. Keep that in mind. Let's also not forget that they are a streaming first company. Does that mean they can't change? Not at all. They could very easily change. But let's take a look at some things that, well, why this is a terrible idea. First off, Netflix wants the IPs, not the infrastructure. This isn't a love letter to Warner Brothers, their history. It's a data grab. Netflix wants the franchise, the streaming subscriber base, and the studio production muscle that comes with it, but it doesn't want the actual media company that built the Warner Brothers brand. That means there's no interest in CNN, TNT, TBS, aka the legacy traditional media that comes with it. No interest in news. Live sports, probably not, maybe. I mean, you know, they've been testing out live sports with like boxing and football and stuff on Netflix, but for the most part, not so much that. They just don't want the old stuff. Like, that's what they don't want. But they want Superman, Batman, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Looney Tunes. They want that stuff. That would look beautiful on Netflix. It would look fantastic on there. But why is it significant? It signals the end of balance. Warner Brothers Discovery, for all its chaos under Slav, still had diversity of revenue. Now, if Netflix only wants the studio and IP side, that's like raiding the Batcave and leaving Bruce Wayne's mansion burning behind. It's short-term gain with long-term creative collapse. Let's also take a look at the fact that Netflix is the bottom of the barrel for film quality. Look, yes, they can throw out some quality films occasionally. K-Pop Demon Hunters, Glass Onion. And look, K-Pop Demon Hunters isn't even theirs. That's Sony. But let's not act like they don't make shitty movies more often than not. Because they do. They're all about quantity over quality. They throw out umpteen movies a week, a month, a year for the algorithm. They want people to just tune in and watch the next thing. If the title sounds good, if the synopsis sounds good, who cares if it's quality? Hey, if they got an actor in it that people like, who cares if the movie's any good? They just want as many movies on their streamer as possible so people stay subscribed and keep clicking. That's all they want. They don't care about the quality. Now imagine they get a hold of the IPs from Warner Brothers Discovery. Imagine they start having control of those IPs, start having control of the filmmakers that come along with Warner Brothers. What do you think is going to happen? Then you have the studio shrink. And we've seen this before. Think of 20th Century Fox turning into 20th Century Studios when Disney took over. The loss of jobs, the shrinkage, people were fired, laid off. And not only that, we saw a 70% decrease in output of films and projects under 20th Century Studios than what we did under 20th Century Fox. Fewer films, fewer projects than what we have ever seen before. From a company like Warner Brothers, which is one of the most storied studios in all of Hollywood. And you think about that. Now, this isn't just a Netflix issue. This is an issue that if it goes to any merger happens, this is a good possibility that this happens. But I think this is more dire if it goes to Netflix. And then you see it hurting our pocketbooks. Because those of us who do still pay for Netflix, those of us who still, partake in watching Netflix, there's going to be a price surge. Netflix is already one of the priciest streamers out there. And it goes up every year. Imagine they drop billions of dollars to buy Warner Brothers Discovery properties. Do you think they're not going to pass that price on to you? They absolutely will. Absolutely will. And it's just going to go up and up and up. More than you could even imagine. And it's not going to go up $2 or $3. No, it's going to go up $15, $20, $25. And you're going to be looking at a $50 Netflix subscription, and it's not going to be nearly as good as HBO Max by itself was. I talked about the cultural fallout, creative losses, and the algorithms win. You take a look at how they avoid legacy media, their culture-defining studio for over a century. From Casablanca to Superman, its DNA is theatrical storytelling. Netflix, on the other hand, isn't a studio. It's a data company that happens to make entertainment. And that difference matters. This isn't just another sale. It's the creative equivalent of turning the Louvre into an AI art form. Once that line is crossed, we don't come back from it. If Netflix gets its hand on Warner Brothers, this won't be a new era for entertainment. It'll be the final act of Hollywood streaming obsessed downfall. Theatrical will shrink, creativity will suffocate, and the DCU, the very thing James Gunn is trying to rebuild from the ground up, will risk being buried under the weight of content quotas and retention charts. Netflix isn't buying a studio to prevent or to protect its legacy. It's buying it to feed the machine. And for fans, filmmakers, and anyone who still believes in the magic of cinema, that's the real tragedy. This is a terrible, terrible thing to really think about. Is it possible? Could this be something that actually happens? Look, they're looking at it. They're looking at the possibility of maybe making a bid. I don't think they're going to take the whole company. I don't think they're going to bid on the whole company. They don't want to take on all that debt. They don't want to take on the legacy media. They don't want to do that. But don't think for one moment, don't think that they will not make a push for all that other stuff, because they will if they have the opportunity to. It's still not the one that I think is going to happen. I still think Comcast is going to be the one that comes out getting Warner Brothers Studios, Max, HBO Max, and the IPs. That's who I think it's still going to be. If the whole studio is not sold to Paramount, Skydance Paramount, I think it's going to be Comcast who comes out with just part of the company. But I think Netflix is going to make a big push. I really do. But it's interesting. It really is. And you have those section of people who think selling to Netflix is going to be the right move simply because it's going to reestablish and give them a dead DC universe for two movies. And they're like, oh, this is the best idea. Sell it to Netflix because I want two movies. But they refuse to look at the ramifications on how it will destroy Warner Brothers as a whole, Hollywood as a whole, how it is terrible for the film industry, because they're not about artistic integrity, not at all. They're simply about their wants, their desires, and that's all they want. That's all they want. Let me know your thoughts about all this. Do you think, is Netflix going to get it? Is it going to go to Skydance Paramount? Is it going to be Apple? Is it going to be Amazon? Is it going to be Comcast? Hell, are the Saudis going to get it? Who's going to get Warner Brothers Discovery, and how and when? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.